You're listening to the Future Tech Health Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Until I reached age 40, I never realized the obvious, that we all have medical issues, or we at least have a family member or close relation that had, has, or will have them in the future. Medicine and biological systems are the final frontier. Until we've conquered death, figured out how life began, cured cancer, and understood our purpose in the universe, there's a heck of a lot to talk about when it comes to our health. Future Tech Health means I'll be covering futuristic topics that are actually already in clinical trials, or even starting to appear on shelves or by prescription, or available for your own use. We dive deep into stem cells, CRISPR-Cas9, the science of sleep, epigenetics, medical testing, cancer, ketogenic diets, stem cells, aging, regenerative medicine, and more. My goal for you, the listener, is to learn from these podcasts. You may very well learn something that may change the course of your life for the better, steer you towards a new career, or give you insight into addressing a serious medical problem. Remember, however, this podcast and its content is informational in nature only. No medical, tax, legal, financial, or psychological advice is being given. If you enjoy the podcast, please listen, subscribe, like, and share it with friends. Thank you.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with Future Tech and Future Tech Health Podcast. I have Dr. Darshan Shah. He's the CEO, founder, and medical director
That's correct.
of Next Health. Yeah, we're talking about his company, Next Health. He's an expert on various body systems. He's done over 10,000 more surgical procedures than I have in his 15 years of experience. He's done trauma surgery, general surgery, plastic reconstructive procedures. He's a graduate of the Mayo Clinic, Harvard Business School, and Singularity University. I've spoken to a lot of folks from Singularity. It's a great place, on the move people. So, Darshan, thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, so you have a pretty extensive background. Maybe tell me a little bit about your journey, career-wise, and then we'll get to what you're working on right now.
Absolutely. So, I've been a physician for over 20 years. Traditionally trained physician, went to medical school and learned everything that we're supposed to learn about how to diagnose disease and treat people with drugs and surgery. I did that for many years. I was, like you mentioned earlier, I was a surgeon at a fairly young age, and then I did that for many, many years, doing trauma surgery, general surgery, reconstructive surgery. And throughout all of that, I also worked in the Navy as well as a doctor. And I just saw a lot of sick people, and I saw a lot of sick people just getting sicker and sicker. And all the medicines that we were giving them would just kind of mask the symptoms of it, while internally they're just getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So, I decided, took a look in the mirror, and I saw myself kind of headed down that path after I turned 40 and had a couple of kids. And I said, I got to change this, and I got to learn what I need to know on how I can take advantage of all the new science and technology that's out there to improve my own health and maybe even make a difference in the entire system and the way the system works right now, where it's just so disease focused versus treating the person as a whole and preventing you from getting sick in the first place.
Right. Yeah, I've heard remarks from many people that are doing clinical trials, and I've heard from a lot of people, what you eat, for instance, doesn't really have much effect on your disease outcomes. And I just had to interject this for a second. I thought that was kind of funny. When you consider someone, let's say they live 80 years, what's the inputs to the system? Air, food, water, etc. There's really no other inputs unless you get let's say a chemical exposure. So to say that those things have no bearing on what your health will be, to me sounds ridiculous, but that's just my perception.
You're absolutely right. And here's the problem with those studies. People are doing those studies on people that are already sick. Okay, so say, for example, you already have cancer, and it's advanced cancer, and now all of a sudden you decide to go onto a plant-based diet. Well, at this point in time, you've accumulated 30 years of damage of eating cheeseburgers and processed food and vegetable oils. At this point in time, of course, the studies are not going to show a huge difference because you've already are trying to redo 30 years of destruction in your body. So some of these studies just don't make sense the way that they're administered, and then these results get blown up by something that as a catchy title, like changing your diet doesn't help you prevent disease or cancer. When we know for sure food is medicine. Changing your diet makes a gigantic difference in what the outcome of your life and your mortality is going to be.
Yeah, definitely. So that was a little bit of your history. What are you most currently working on? What's Next Health about, for instance?
Exactly. So, I decided to become part of the solution, not part of the problem. And we started this company called Next Health, which has 2 locations in Los Angeles right now, soon to be expanded in New York, San Francisco. And what we do is we bring all the latest technology and all the latest science, I'll say, who want to never get to that point where they need to take some pills or have a surgery to turn around a disease process. So we bring it all together under one roof in this really cool, fun environment. So one of the things that we wanted to change the perception of people going to the doctor. Like, people hate going to the doctor because it's on the 20th floor of some building with bad parking and it's furniture from the 70s. And, he only spends 15 minutes with you and you wait an hour for those 15 minutes. The system is totally formed that way to where doctors are rewarded for quick visits, seeing as many people as possible and giving them a medicine. If they don't give them a diagnosis and a medicine, then they don't get paid sometimes. So we want to do something completely different where it's a fun environment. You get to go and you get to actually have fun there, and you're seen right away. And we put ourselves in beautiful retail centers so people can just walk in anytime.
Yeah, that's a different experience. Huh. What's your marketing like, or what are you telling people to come visit you for? Are there certain conditions, or is it before that just for wellness?
No.
What's the call to action?
Exactly. So basically, the way we the way we position ourselves is that we're supposed to be a routine in your life, like going to the gym. So a lot of people actually come to us before or after they go to the gym, and they do things like cryotherapy, IV therapy, infrared therapy, and they continue to optimize their health on a weekly basis, because you can't just do something once and you're done. You have to do this on a regular basis. We also offer a whole bunch of advanced blood testing, things like food sensitivity, micronutrient testing, inflammation testing, and we educate you on what those results mean. So you can actually become the CEO of your own health, and you can follow your biomarkers along over time and see things improving. So, just like running a business, you can't run a business without a P&L statement or numbers. We give you the numbers for you to run your health.
So what's the experience like? How do you get people to try their first infrared therapy or any other therapy? Are they suggesting it themselves, or are you suggesting it based on what's going on with them or what they tell you?
Yeah, so people walk in and they're like, what is this place? And we kind of give them a tour, and we show them all the different technologies we have available. And we take them through what each one does. And then most people spend like an hour or two there, and they do all of them. They'll do hyperbaric, they'll do infrared, they'll do cryo, they'll do all the different therapies. And they'll find which ones make them feel the best, which ones they like to experience the best. And then they'll get a membership and come in on a monthly basis. We also start off everyone with a blood test called our Next Health Baseline. And the Next Health Baseline measures over 50 different biomarkers. And we sit down with you, we go over what those mean and what changes you can make in your health and wellness routine to optimize those.
Oh, so what are an example of some of the critical biomarkers that you test for?
That's a great question. So the ones that people really need to know about, actually, there's my 5 top ones. One is a hemoglobin A1C, which is a 3-month average of how much sugar you're taking into your body. We know that sugar is one of the biggest sources of inflammation and silent killers in our society right now. And people eat way too much sugar. It is hidden in all of our processed foods. And we dysregulate, or we're unable to control the amount of sugar in our bloodstream. And the hemoglobin A1C tells you how well you're able to control your sugars. So we check that. We also check what's called hs-CRP, which is an inflammatory marker. Inflammation is a root cause of all disease, whether it be heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's. We want to see how much inflammation is going on in your body now and minimize that inflammation so that over 30 years it doesn't accumulate and turn into a disease process. We measure your hormone levels, testosterone, estrogen, DHEA, hormone level, thyroid, adrenal hormones. As you know, hormones are constantly trying to keep your body healthy. And most people, because of stress, because of inability to exercise or eat right, their hormones are dysregulated. So we could check those and tell you how to fix those. We also check for standard things like anemia, electrolyte disturbances. There's 50 different things that we check for in the standard baseline. And then we also have additional blood tests that measure things like food sensitivities, so we can check what foods that your body's sensitive to, so you can stay away from them. Micronutrient levels, all the vitamins that your body needs to flourish. We'll check those levels and see what we can optimize and get better, and check for deficiencies. Most people are super deficient in critical vitamins like vitamin D, vitamin B. They have no idea. The minute we start replacing those, people's lives change, their health changes, their ability to keep off weight, all of it, their mental processes speed up, all of that. So those are just some examples. Of, we'd be on the podcast for pretty much 8 hours for me to go over all of them, but I think that's a good list to start with.
Well, one thing I noticed, I've been to these places where you can do cryotherapy or do this, that, or the other, but they don't sound like yours. Yours sounds to be blood test first, focused on the markers. Let's get things in line, and then the therapies come from there. Or is it more of just come in, try this therapy, try that therapy, and just you feel better? That's what you tend to come back for. I mean, like, do you have two different avatars of person? One that, again, will look at the blood markers first and then they'll choose, or they just choose what appeals to them and then they do that therapy?
One of the problems is that there's all this stuff available out there, and they're all available in like these little places, maybe in like a strip mall somewhere, where it's like cryotherapy, come here, $49, free first session, that kind of thing. And then you go somewhere else and there's like in the back of a vitamin bar, there's like some nurse doing IVs. Nothing's really curated. You have no idea the quality or the technology that they have, and you have no idea how it really impacts you. So we typically don't have any clients coming in there that's not in our program. And our program, like you said, starts with biomarker testing. Then we curate which technologies are going to work for you based on your biomarkers. And because I'm a medical doctor, because under medical license, we have to have the best equipment that's been proven through studies to be safe and effective. And so we're really making sure you get the best therapies and not just throwing random stuff at you, kind of like you find in some of these one-off places.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense because, let's say my vitamin D is really low and I like cryotherapy. I like that more. I don't like hyperbaric oxygen. I'm making this up.
Sure.
Maybe hyperbaric oxygen is what I need plus supplementation to fix my vitamin D level so I feel better, but I like cryo, so I just do that instead. And the place doesn't say any different. They're happy. They get my money. I go in there. I feel good. That's the end of the story. It seems like that's the path that a lot of people take instead of, essentially diagnosis or, what's going on with me? Why do I feel sluggish? Oh, it's because of these biomarkers. So I'm going to do targeted therapies to help me. Seems like that's a much more sensible path.
Totally. I mean, I think that a lot of people, they hear some buzzwords out of people marketing, and they just go in there and they give it a try, and they don't really know. They don't even really know what they're trying to fix or change, but maybe they feel a little bit better, but they don't know. And so having those biomarkers tested, so say you're using cryotherapy for inflammation reduction, you want to check your inflammatory markers to see if it's really being reduced. That's one example, right? So I think applying a little bit more science to it and a little bit more deliberation makes a huge difference, and not wasting your money or your time. Or worst case scenario, potentially harming yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, we don't have to be exhaustive, but infrared therapy. What in particular have you found that would be good for? And then maybe hyperbaric and a couple others. What are some of the common treatments that everyone's all excited about lately, and what specifically have you seen that they're better to address?
Yeah. So some of the things that I look at for most of our clients is hyperbaric oxygen therapy is fantastic for people that are trying to basically turn back the time clock of aging. Our cells over time do starve for oxygen, and they starve for energy, and oxygen is the basis of that energy. Hyperbaric oxygen makes it easier for your cells to get in the oxygen that they need. So hyperbaric oxygen, by the way, has been around for almost a few decades now. And I used to use it a lot in reconstructive surgery when I was fixing big wounds. And it was amazing to see how the wounds would heal in hyperbaric oxygen therapy versus just without any type of hyperbaric oxygen. So there's an obvious, well-studied effect in disease care for hyperbaric oxygen. But why should we just only use it for disease care? We need to also use it to stay healthy. And I think hyperbaric oxygen is a fantastic treatment for that. I also think, like we said, talked about inflammation is a root cause of all diseases, and the more you can reduce inflammation, the better. Cryotherapy is a great way to reduce inflammation in just 3 minutes a day, being in a cold chamber. See huge amounts of inflammation reduction. Infrared therapy is also great for cardiovascular issues. It's great for hormone optimization. So we also have heat sauna, which has been proven many times to increase lifespan as well. So a lot of our clients are there not just for optimizing their health and to feel like they feel more vital, but they also want to live longer. So a focus of Next Health is longevity. We call ourselves a health optimization and longevity center because we are now learning so much in the science on how to improve and increase your lifespan. Why wait and why not take advantage of that now? We bring those technologies that people take advantage of now.
Yeah, what are some of the I don't know, what are some of the common problems people have when they come in to see you, and what kind of therapies do they end up doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's two kind of avatars there. I mean, we have some people that come in with problems, like say they have inflammation, going on in their joints, or maybe they were diagnosed with some rheumatoid. Some people come in just feeling under the weather from the flu or from traveling, and they'll get an IV. But most of our clients, once again, they come in already, they feel pretty good. Their doctor tells them, you're fine on your physical examination every year. Come back to me when you're sick, nothing really to do. But I think everyone knows that they're not doing everything they could potentially do to keep themselves in an optimum state of health, whether it be education, learning about what they should cut out of their diet or put into their diet, optimizing their sleep, optimizing their micronutrients through supplements, or using all of our technology to help keep them healthier. I think most of the clients that we see are coming in to maintain and get to that optimal state of health where they really feel like they're doing everything possible that's available today to keep them healthy.
Any interesting stories of people that came in and they did therapies, or their blood markers were crazy, and you helped intervene and fix them?
Oh, we see that stuff all the time. I mean, we have so many testimonies from people that have come in with gut issues, for example, for decades, having intermittent vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, bloating all the time, never feeling comfortable in their own bodies, in their own gut. And then we just do some simple things like reconstructing their gut lining and getting them off of the foods they're sensitive to, and it changes their life. The amount of energy, the amount of mental clarity they get, the amount that they're able to sleep and work out. We've seen some pretty amazing stories. I mean, you can see the transformation in them just visually. Like people lose weight, they gain muscle, they just kind of stand up taller with a smile on their face when you feel good. When you feel really good, you can see the visual transformation. And I think it's all about just really feeling good. We've also seen a lot of people like with Lyme disease, for example, that we've been able to significantly decrease their symptoms where they weren't able to even get around, and now they can get around a little bit better. So we have lots of stories, and it's a new way of thinking about health. It's a new way of thinking about what's available to you from your healthcare provider. A lot of the stuff your regular doctor won't even know what it is or have access to, because it's not for disease care, it's for health optimization. We're also going to some advanced technology like stem cells, exosomes, peptide therapy. These are things that are really coming to light now, and people are looking at to even further help with their longevity and their health.
And tell me about some of the new stuff, stem cells and in particular exosomes. I know that exosomes recently have been discovered to exist at all, these little fluid-filled vesicles that cells put out. But
right.
Is there now exosome therapy available, and what would it be used for?
Yeah. So now you can actually purchase exosomes. They're made by a lab out of Florida, and the exosomes, like you said, they're the little vesicles that are inside of our stem cells that have all the information, all the signaling molecules inside of them that create, and they tell other cells to start healing tissues and decreasing inflammation. So now, instead of having to inject stem cells, you can actually just inject the signal that the stem cells give you in your IV. And we're looking at using these IV exosomes for longevity and for overall healing and increasing your health span and lifespan.
It's interesting. So they're injected and they go through the body systemically, and they're telling various tissues what to go more into repair mode, or
right.
What are they doing?
Exactly. So what they're doing is they are signaling the other stem cells that are already locked away inside your tissue that everyone has to go into repair mode and recovery mode.
Yeah. Interesting. Are there any contraindications for people that shouldn't get exosomes?
Right now, there's still a lot of research that needs to get done on exosomes. I think the the science right now really doesn't show any contraindications. Really, it's just these are story products that are made out of all of our cells anyway, and our stem cells anyway. So there's still a lot of research being done. This is like cutting edge new stuff that's right on the edge right now, and people are looking at it pretty deeply.
What kind of conditions, are there any specific ones that people are looking to see if exosomes will help with?
Really, there's not really a condition focus right now on exosomes. I think it's really just for overall wellness, overall healing. Of course, joint, anything that you use stem cells for, exosomes can also be put there. So a lot of people are using them in joints. A lot of people are using them in even trying to heal or reverse people who have complaints of cognitive impairment, dementia. So, how incredible would that be to reverse dementia with exosomes? So that's something that they're looking at right now. Yeah.
So with stem cells being a bit more established, what are some of the therapies using stem cells, and what are they for?
Kind of the same. I think exosomes and stem cells have been utilized for the same kind of potential therapies. Stem cells, of course, came first. They have the stem cells are a delivery mechanism for the exosomes. We can get stem cells either from your own body or from umbilical cord, donated umbilical cord blood. And most stem cells are being used for joints right now. My orthopedic friends, they just are raving about how stem cells can put off joint replacements for a while. But I think there's still a lot of research that needs to be done. The main thing about stem cells is when we can take a pluripotential stem cell and encourage it to become a certain kind of cell, like a nerve cell or a heart cell or a liver cell, for example. When we get to that point in science, the world of stem cells is going to blow up, and there's going to cell replacement therapies from stem cells, potentially even your own stem cell.
Okay. So are you using stem cell therapy, or is that not yet for your clinic, or is it coming soon?
Yes. No, we do offer umbilical cord therapy in our clinic. And, we always caution people, we're not trying to treat any particular disease process, because the FDA particularly mentions that you can't say that you're treating any particular disease process, and rightfully so. There needs to be a lot of research done for disease treatment and stem cells and seeing what the true effect is. But we do provide stem cell therapy at our clinics, and people are very happy with it.
Excellent. So what's going to be the near-term future for your clinics? Is it just expansion or new therapies? The next couple of years, what's your goal?
It's both, yeah. So we're always introducing the new cutting-edge therapies that are out there. We are continually adding more therapies over time. As soon as something comes out, we spend a lot of time evaluating it with our scientific advisory board, and we're going to open more locations. We have 2 in LA right now. We have a couple more slated for LA in the next year. We also will be moving to Orange County, San Francisco, New York City. So big plans.
Okay, excellent. Well, Darshan, anything else that you wanted to add, or you've covered quite a bit?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think if anyone's in the LA area, they'd like to have a full executive physical. We do this incredible physical with measuring over 1,000 different biomarkers and full body MRI and genome sequencing. You get a lot of information. Yeah, we do it all together in one afternoon. You can get it all done. And we call it the physical exam for 2021. It's like what a physical exam should be. And we can really give you an in-depth look at what's going on, and then give you the advice and the treatment and the education you need to turn things around.
Excellent. So what's the best way for people to get in touch? Just their particular website, or what would you recommend?
Yeah. Next-health.com is our website. You can find us on Instagram at NextHealth, and my email address is drshaw@next-health.com.
Oh, that's great. Well, Darshan, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you so much for having me, and look forward to talking to you again.
You're listening to the Future Tech Health Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Until I reached age 40, I never realized the obvious, that we all have medical issues, or we at least have a family member or close relation that has, or will have them in the future. Medicine and biological systems are the final frontier. Until we've conquered death, figured out how life began, cured cancer, and understood our purpose in the universe, there's a heck of a lot to talk about when it comes to our health. Future Tech Health means I'll be covering futuristic topics that are actually already in clinical trials, or even starting to appear on shelves or by prescription. or available for your own use. We dive deep into stem cells, CRISPR-Cas9, the science of sleep, epigenetics, medical testing, cancer, ketogenic diets, stem cells, aging, regenerative medicine, and more. My goal for you, the listener, is to learn from these podcasts. You may very well learn something that may change the course of your life for the better, steer you towards a new career, or give you insight into addressing a serious medical problem. Remember, however, this podcast and its content is informational in nature only. No medical, tax, legal, financial, or psychological advice is being given. If you enjoyed the podcast, please listen, subscribe, like, and share it with friends. Thank you.